Today, we'll be making a very interesting card. It's called a Venetian Blind Card. This card is very lovely. In this video, I'll show you how to make it super durable, strong and workable using simple equipment and tools. Here are the materials needed. If you want, you can pause the video at this time and ensure that you have all the materials before begin. So let's begin. So first off, take a yellow Bristol board and measure it at 11 inches in length and 4.5 inches in width. Cut out that yellow Bristol board. Measure another yellow Bristol board, the same length and width, 11 inches in length and 4.5 inches in width. Cut out that yellow Bristol board. So now you have two pieces of yellow Bristol boards cut at the same length and width. Take one of the yellow Bristol board and draw a line at 5.5 inches from the end of the yellow Bristol board using the back of the knife. Do the same thing for the second piece of yellow Bristol board. Draw a line at 5.5 inches from the end of the yellow Bristol board using the back of the knife. Fold those Bristol boards in half. Crease the fold well using a ruler. Place glue on one of the folded Bristol board and place the other yellow Bristol board on top that Bristol board. Ensure that the middle and ends of the card is snug well together. Please especially crease the ends of the card. Place in a book and allow the card to dry. While that card is drying, we can make the Venetian blind. So take a lilac colored paper and measure it at length 7 1/8 inches and width 3 3/8 inches. Cut out that rectangle. Now, from the top of the lilac paper, place dots on one end of the paper a 1/2 inch away from each other. Do the same for the other end of the paper. Place dots a 1/2 inch away from each other. Now, using a ruler, draw lines connecting one dot to the other. Draw the lines using the back of the knife. So at the end, you should have 12 lines in all. Turn the paper over and starting at the bottom of the paper, make a mountain fold. The second line, make a valley fold. Keep alternating the fold from mountain to valley as shown. When the paper closes, crease the folded paper well using a ruler. At the end, the first fold from the end should be a mountain fold and the last fold at the other end of the paper should be a valley fold. It's important that the first fold be a mountain fold and the last fold be a valley fold. Otherwise, when the blind closes, the blind may bulge out. Take now a yellow Bristol board and measure two rectangles, one at length 3 3/8 inches and width 1 1/8 inches. The other rectangle should be length 3 3/8 inches and width a 1/2 inch. Cut out those two Bristol boards. Place glue on the smaller yellow strip and stick it on the back side of the small end of the blind. Crease well using a ruler. Trim off any extra edges of the yellow Bristol board. Place glue on a bigger yellow strip and stick it on the back side of the big end of the blind. Crease well using a ruler. Trim off any extra edges of the yellow bristle border. Close the blind and place 2 dots on the blind. The dots should be 2/8 of an inch on both ends from the top of the strip. Take a scrap paper, fold it up very small and place the blind on top of the folded scrap paper. Taking a protractor, puncture the closed blind on the dots that you had placed on the blind. Enlarge the hole a bit depending on the side of the string you plan to use by placing another hole to join the hole you had made. Open the blind. Next, measure a string at 40 inches in length. Put one end of the string in a large needle. You may need to moisten one end of the string to place it in the needle. Then take the needle with one end of the string and follow this pattern of placing the string in the blind. Start from the top and pass the needle as shown. Take one end of the string on top and pass it through the opposite holes of the blind. Then take the other end of the string and pass it through the opposite holes of the blind. So let's do that at this time. Stretch out the string well to be equal when the string reaches at the top. After threading the blind as it were, open the blind by stretching one, then stretching the other end. Keep doing that until the blind opens fully. The blind should now be able to open by pulling in the middle of the card and close easily by pulling on both strings at once as shown. Of course, depending on the string you choose to use, it can change the effect on the card. For example, depending on the nylon string you use, you may be able to pull the middle of the string and the card will close. And if you use a very thin nylon string, you can be able to pull on both ends of the string as shown and the card will close easily. However, for this card at this time, I choose to use a cotton string. So to close the card easily, I need to pull the string opposite each other. Nevertheless, any of the string may be used. Lastly, for the blind, open a blind and place nuts on both ends of the string. The nuts can be doubled until they are big enough to prevent the string from going through the holes by mistake. Also, ensure that the nuts are equal to each other. Then cut the ends of the string, leaving the nuts at the end of both strings. Close the blind and place in a book. After the card dries, trim off any extra edges of the card, if there are any. Next, place dots at 2 inches from the top of the card. Just a side point, in this video, you may hear the word an eighth. An eighth is 2 small strokes on the inch side of the ruler. Also place dots at 1 1/8 inches from the bottom of the closed card and place dots 1 1/8 inches from both sides of the closed card. Connect all the dots you now place on a card to form a rectangle. Cut out the rectangle by bursting a hole in the middle of the rectangle and taking your time to cut out the rectangle as shown. Erase any pencil marks off the rectangle. Get a pattern paper and trace out the shape of the card on the pattern paper. Cut out that shape. Measure 2/8 lines from the top and one side of the paper and cut out those lines from the paper. Next, place dots at 1 3/4 inches from the top of the pattern paper. Also place dots at 7/8 of an inch from the bottom of the pattern paper and place dots at 7/8 of an inch from both sides of the paper. Connect all the dots you now placed on the paper to form a rectangle. Cut out the rectangle by bursting a hole in the middle of the rectangle and taking your time to cut out the rectangle as shown. Place dots 1/8 of an inch from the top, bottom and sides of the card. Place glue on the pattern paper and stick the paper on the lines of the card as shown. Please ensure that the pattern line up well on the card as the picture shown. Crease the paper well on the card. Take out the Venetian blind from the book. We want to stick this blind right above the window. Use a ruler. Find the middle of the width of the card. The middle of the card should be 2 1/4 inches. Place a dot in that spot. Then measure the width of the blind. It should be 1 11/16 of an inch. 1/16 is half of an eighth. Place a dot 1 1/16 of an inch on each side of the 2 1/4 inch dot in the middle of the width of the card above the window. Next, close the Venetian blind and place glue on the end of the blind as shown. Be careful not to put glue on the string and stick the blind on the dot right above the window. Crease the blind well. Take a scrap paper and measure it at length 3 5/8 inches and width 7/8 of an inch. Cut out that rectangular strip. Fold the paper into 4 equal parts as shown. If you want to fold it more, you can. Draw a semicircle on the folded paper as shown. The semicircle can be just 1/8 in height. Cut out the semicircle. Trace out the semicircle on a gift paper. Cut out the gift paper. After placing glue on the gift paper, you can stick it on a Bristol board and cut out the Bristol board to suit the gift paper design. Place glue on the top end of that gift paper and Bristol board and stick it above the Venetian blind as shown. Crease well using a ruler and raise the bottom to resemble a lentil on top of a window. Beautiful. Now take a damp cloth and wipe off any glue spot on the card. The card has taken shape well. Lastly, draw 1-inch circle on a yellow Bristol board. Cut out that circle and erase any pencil marks on the circle. After seeing where half of the circle falls on the circle, write the word pull. Then place glue on half of the circle and stick it on the bottom of the blind as shown. Beautiful. Just a note, if you want to put a card in a very thin envelope without damaging the Venetian blind, you can just open the Venetian blind by pulling on the 2 strings, then place it in the thin regular envelope. Please like, comment, subscribe and share this video, and do enjoy making it.